Pretty high tech stuff these days.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. That's going.
Pretty high tech stuff these days.
Yeah. Let's close that. All right. Cool. So welcome everyone to the IBC community call. Yeah, we have the regular updates, and today we have Mikal. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Mikal.
Yeah, that's good enough. Mike is fine.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for joining us today. Michael is from Composable Finance, and he's gonna give us a presentation about their work on Solana AVS for IBC. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, first let's start with the updates. Yeah, Susanna, you want to kick it off?
Sure thing. Um, so yeah, first one is we are trying to move support and general questions and discussions to the Cosmos GitHub forum. The SDK team is already directing their support requests and ideas and such there. So we thought it makes sense to try and get stuff all in one place. So yeah, the idea is to have more of a kind of Stack Overflow style searchable support requests, things like that, and just more of an open place for discussion. So please feel free to drop any support questions or ideas and feedback you have through the link, and we will be actively monitoring that. We have like a Slack bot set up and stuff, so things won't go unanswered. Whereas on Discord, no one was really actively monitoring the Interchain Discord. So we hope that this is going to work better and there will be like a voice replying to you. Next is there were some events in Berlin over the past week. Maybe a notable one is Serdar did a workshop on testing CosmWasm contracts with some custom tooling that he's made. We will add that tutorial to the IBC docs. So once that's up there, I can update the link here. But yeah, check it out if you're a CosmWasm user and want to improve your testing of contracts. Next is we have been looking a bit more closely at how ICS20 users are using the memo just to help inform some of the V2 requirements. We're particularly interested in the cases where people are combining the WASM key, so IBC hooks middleware, with forwarding. So yeah, that's kind of like in progress. And we're also looking to improve our documentation gradually over time. So if you do have any feedback on how you found using IBC Go Docs, you can reach out to me directly. I've dropped my Telegram there, or if we're connected on Slack, feel free to message there. And yeah, just drop some links of blogs from the past month. Yeah. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat or if anyone wants to pipe up. But if not, we can just move on.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions now? All right, then we move on. Then on IBC Go and the specs, in the recent weeks we've been focusing more and more. More and more of the team has been focusing on the ICS20 v2. We were working on dependency injection support, but we hit some roadblocks, and we decided to move that out of the V9 release. The problems that we faced were related to the wiring of middleware and interchain accounts. We decided to put this on hold for now and come back to it after V9. And we're focusing on ICS20 v2 right now. We finished the implementation of the support for multi-token transfers. Yeah, we just have to wrap up the end-to-end test, but yeah, implementation is done. We have also done our alpha audit as well. Yeah, so that part is more or less complete, and now we're starting to work on the implementation of the second major feature coming with V2, which is path forwarding. Yeah, we have a POC that we worked on a couple of weeks ago, and now we're starting to build on top of that, improving it, and cleaning up the code. Yeah, and we're trying to work towards tagging an alpha by the end of the month. So yeah, let's see if we can manage. Right now it looks like we can, so that would be great. Yeah, if you have any feedback, the spec is the spec PR is yeah, you can find it in the spec repository if you want to have a look. Uh, so yeah, feel free to have a look at that. Yeah, and that's the work we're gonna be focusing in the next couple of iterations mostly. Yeah, and then on the other on the other part, we will also be working on ecosystem expansion, working on the IBC Lite. Yeah, Aditya wrote a spec for this, which is like a simplified IBC. Yeah, with those are the three main features listed there. Aditya and Serdar have been working on POCs on the Go and Cosm Wasm. Since the idea of IBC Lite is that it should be easier to write an implementation for it, so that's why Serdar also picked up Cosm Wasm as a to test if that assumption was correct, and yeah, the impression so far is that the implementation is easier to write for IBC Lite, so that's going in the right direction. Yeah, we're also starting now to work on the IC V2, so ICS 27 V2 spec. So if anybody has like interest about the V2 and features that we should support in V2, feel free to also reach out to Susanna on Slack, Telegram, and share your thoughts and ideas so that we can put them in the design and implement them. Yeah, and I think that's a bit it from IBC Go and specs. Any questions?
Yeah, I actually had a question. I know that Serdar had an issue for, I guess, like a middleware stack, like an implementation of it. Do you know, I guess, like what the current state of that is? Because it looked like in the issue, there was a discussion how this would kind of happen offline. Like, is there any status on that?
So you mean about like middleware wiring? Is that
So it almost seemed like he had, I guess, an issue that was talking about the difficulty of setting up a middleware stack, and he had proposed a implementation where you could build a middleware stack with different middlewares. I guess it's to ease middleware integration.
mhm. Just to confirm, so this is not about the IBC Lite part, right? The
No. It had nothing to do with IBC Lite.
Yeah, I know that we have a couple of issues, and indeed one of them was written by Serdar about middleware wiring improvements. What we're currently thinking is that the middleware wiring should be improved once we start working on V10 and the pole router refactoring. We don't have yet any issue that explains that, but we have like a PR with the POC work that Colin and Damien have been working on. I can show here this one. Yeah, this PR. We'll put it also in the chat. So they're working on refactoring how the port router works with the goal of enabling multi-packet atomicity, so that, for example, you're able to atomically send like a transfer and an ICA packet. And the idea is that the middleware wiring should be improved once we have this. I don't have much context yet or much more information because it's Colin and Damien who have been working on this, and that's what I understand from them, that that this middleware wiring should be improved once we have this. But yeah,
I just put a link in the chat. I think this is the issue, maybe.
Yeah, that was the issue.
Yeah.
Sorry for not having it beforehand.
yeah, this one I think is one of the it's one of the one that is listed here as that should be closed with the port router refactoring. Because I think the idea is that we're gonna get rid of the ICS for wrapper. So this should go away with the port router refactoring. So what's with the work that is started here? I think
Okay.
we should try to write like an issue and explain like the problems and the goals and what we're trying to achieve with the whole port router. We can do that so that it's easier for people to understand what the plan is. Yeah.
Okay.
But-
Thank you.
But this is for V10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is yeah. I will ask Colin or Damien to write an issue for this. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Carlos, can you hear me?
Hey, Thomas, yes.
Good. Yeah, about the CosmWasm implementation of IBC Lite that Serta was working on, just to understand what that means. Like, it was already possible to write applications and also like clients to the 08 WASM client in CosmWasm. So what Serta was looking at is to like also do the transport implementation in CosmWasm. So essentially to kind of bypass the IBC Go module that is provided by the SDK. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's what he has been doing, like basically implement IBC in CosmWasm contracts, like the transport layer according to the IBC Lite specification. To test if the hypothesis that we had, okay, with this IBC Lite, it should be much easier to write an IBC implementation. We wanted to test that hypothesis. Like for other VMs, etc. It should be simpler, and that's what he was working on. Yeah.
Got it. So it's mostly like a POC, but it's not like that would be the preferred way to do it with CosmWasm chains.
Yeah, indeed. It's more like a POC to test the hypothesis. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I think more like the goal is that someone could work on building out like their IBC implementation as like a proof of concept, assuming a light client exists in like a hackathon. So this was just like a kind of test if that was feasible, rather than something that's production ready.
I have a question too about has there thought been made as far as getting an IBC Lite chain to migrate to full IBC? Or is this kind of an incompatible different way of doing things?
So I think right now there isn't backwards compatibility, but talking to people, I think this is quite important. So this is like not the end state. It's kind of, this is like exploratory at this point. But I guess the problem with backwards compatibility is then you're kind of maybe stuck in some of the design choices which didn't make sense and like motivated this in the first place. So I think there's a bit of a balance, but basically I think it's not fully decided at this point.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
All right, any more questions? If not, we can move on with the updates from the informal team. Yeah, Sean or maybe Rano, who would like to give the updates of IBCRS?
I'll be giving the updates for the first point, and then Rana will take the Sovereign and Hermes SDK stuff. But yeah, as far as on IBCRS, since the last time we gave an update here, and I know we missed the last month, so apologies for that. I think there's maybe a little bit of a miscommunication on our end. So we've gone and done 2 releases, V52, which added the client recovery feature, as well as a new IBC client, CW Crate, that streamlines thousand contract creation for light clients that are built using IBCRS. And then in 053, we totally revamped IBC Test Kit, basically streamlining it and allowing it to, basically added just kind of like better abstractions for simulating scenarios and contexts that are more akin to real blockchain environments compared to the way we were testing in an IBCRS beforehand. But the more general trend, I suppose, with the releases we've been working on is we're working up to IBCRS v1. So there's still a couple of things on the docket that need to get knocked out before we reach that milestone. And those are refactoring IBCRS's error handling architecture. There's a couple of missing parts from ICS 05 and ICS 26 that also need to that we want to see implemented before V1, and then also putting together a landing and documentation page. So yeah, those are the main things on the docket before we're going to go ahead and cut an official V1 release. But that's it on the IBCRS front. Then Verano, if you want to go ahead and take the sovereign stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So if there is no question for the IBCRS, maybe I can give an update for the sovereign and the Hermes SDK stuff. So the Hermes SDK, now we have WASM client support. So we have managed to kind of relay relay handshakes between the Tendermint client, and also we are working for the sovereign client. And for that, we are trying to wrap up this connection open trial and the connection open act. So when it's kind of finished, then we'll have the connection handshake. And so right now we have some bugs that we're kind of fixing up with the sovereign team. It's mainly because of something like a proof verification and stuff like that. So once that's done, so I think the channel handshake will also be smoother. So this is the sovereign relaying. Yeah. So and then for the sovereign IBCs, we have there's not much updates. So it's only just kind of maintain solve the API changes from the sovereign SDK. So yeah, that's it from the sovereign.
Cool, thank you. Any questions for Sean or Rano?
Yeah.
All right, if no questions, then Hermes, Luca, I guess.
Yeah. So on Hermes side, we recently released the v1.9, which has the channel upgrade feature, as well as we're now compatible with the Skips fee market. So before we were only compatible with Osmosis dynamic gas fees. Now they both work. Ran the test with Neutron's release candidate of v4, and everything seems to be working. On the other hand, we're working on the connection hub feature. And we also have an open PR for the ICS 20 v2. So it seems to be working when I ran it with the feature branch of IBC Go. But this will be kind of blocked until we have a tag release of IBC Go, because we need to update the protos and Cosmos NICs. So we're waiting to have kind of a stable version before moving forward with this.
Cool, great. Questions for Luca? Yeah.
Sorry, the multi-hop connection, I think it's called. I might have mistaken the name. I can search. Yeah, ICS 33.
maybe Susanna, this is something to discuss with Adi, etc. Because if we're not planning to work on the multi-hub feature in IBC Go in the short medium term, maybe how maybe that affects the work on Hermes. Oh, what do you think?
Yeah, I did mention this, but I guess we also can't work on it because there's no relay support. But as well, yeah, I don't think it's a priority. There's not much demand for people wanting to use it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I can discuss also with them and see like what they think about it. Then
Because the hub were potentially interested, but then they said that they deprioritized and aren't particularly interested in it. And then
who?
Yeah,
I didn't understand who was interested, but
the hub, like the Cosmos hub.
thanks.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss and see. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Then I think there's nobody from Strangelove or Penumbra here today. So before moving to the presentation, anybody has any other topics they would like to discuss or questions? Okay, there's nothing else right now. Then, yeah, the floor is yours, Michal. I think you can share a screen, so I will stop.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Michael from the Composable Foundation. Yeah, so I have we've been working on the Solana IBC connection for a while now, and yeah, have a presentation prepared for you guys about that. Feel free to interact with questions like during the talk. Like I'd rather not go to the end of it rather than like skip some questions. So if anyone has any questions, then just interrupt me. So yeah, so the bridge is currently live for almost like 2 months. You can just like go and use it, but it wasn't actually like a trivial thing to implement. There were some complications. One stems from the IBC host requirements that IBC has. Then there were also a few problems with, or challenges to be more to phrase it better maybe, with just like writing the software, which just comes with like developing any kind of piece of software. So let's start with just the IBC host requirements. So the to get into that, like a very quick overview of like how Solana works. Normally in smart contracts, you typically have some kind of key value storage, and that's kept in some kind of like trie, where you can have state proofs, and that's what IBC uses. Solana uses accounts, where account can be up to 10 megabytes, and there is no proofs of the values of those accounts. Furthermore, Solana also doesn't have introspection, which of course is needed for establishing connections, right? So by introspection, I here mean getting the past Solana headers. So what we came up with is we figured, why not create like intermediary blockchain which talks IBC with Picasso, so with our chain, with with the IBC network, but then talks natively with Solana. So it's essentially embedded within Solana, and because it runs as a smart contract on Solana, it can talk directly with Solana smart contracts. But then it creates this abstraction that IBC needs with state proofs and with introspection that allows it to connect through IBC to the rest of of IBC network. So the way this works is that this embedded guest chain, as we came to call it, is a proof of stake chain. It has its own provable key value storage, and that is was it presented to the light client on the Picasso side, right? Because like implementing a light client for proof of stake is relatively simple. We have Merkle trie that's also like well researched and like well understood data structure, so it's sort of a breeze. But the problem is like, where does the security of this chain comes from? Like, what's the proof of stake and what's the validators? So one like key aspect also that we in the way that we design it is that validators do almost no work because the blocks are generated on the chain itself by the smart contract. There is nothing really for validators to do other than fetch a new block, sign it, and submit the signature. So because of that, it's very easy to run a validator. We currently have 24 validators, and like this way, because like it's such a easy program to run. Like it doesn't have that many requirements on the resources. There's we hope to to attract people to join in and like if they can just validate those blocks. Also, because the blocks are generated on Solana, on Solana chain on the ledger by the Solana smart contract, there is no concern of censorship. Or rather, I should say that our guest chain does not introduce like new censorship concerns. Like any like security properties of Solana, we're like automatically inherit. One thing to note though is that while storage is cheap, storage on chain isn't that cheap. So we also work on the provable storage to optimize it to a point where it doesn't really use much memory. It came in various ways. Some of it is that we are we use very compact keys. So like if you look at the ICSs, like all the documents, the keys are like those long sort of strings. Or relatively long strings with slashes and whatnot. We're sort of compressing into very short like binary sequences, and then we also have this feature where when a value in the provable storage is no longer needed, we can remove that value without affecting the commitment route, right? So for example, like the simplest example here is that if we send a packet to another chain and then we get an acknowledgement that this packet was delivered, then we no longer like care about holding that packet on the provable state. Like that value is no longer needed in any way because it will never be like referenced again, except for like knowing that value was there, and that's something that we can do without like storing the actual value. This is also something that potentially maybe could be improved in IBC in some of the things, in some of the implementations. That's something we're sort of looking into. Like the example is with timeouts. that's like not necessarily in all instances where like the value isn't needed, that it's no longer that the chain gets notified that it's no longer needed. But overall, like for now, like it works pretty well for us with the with the storage limit that we have in Solana, where things start getting complicated if we use more than 10 megabytes of memory. So yeah, so those were the problems that stems from IBC requirements. The other like challenges and complication came from just like implementing the light client and the guest chain and all of those components. One thing is that I don't want to like be too sort of complain too much, but IBC is a little bit Cosmos-centric. So one example of this was like cryptographic functions, and again, like this was resolved very quickly, but like IBCRS at one point like didn't allow to provide like our own cryptographic functions, and on Solana, like if you try to do SHA-256 or signature verification in like smart contract code, like you just run out of compute budget. But like for us, especially like helped here very quickly, and like this got resolved. There's also some of the data structures are often like expressed in JSON, which I mean JSON is great for compatibility, like it's self-descriptive. You can figure out what's it doing just from the sorry, I just noticed the chat. Just let me. Okay, so let me go back to the chat. Sorry, I didn't notice your questions earlier. So the blocks on the guest chains, the guest blocks are generated only when a packet is sent from Solana to to some other IBC network, or at least like that's sort of the design. I will have some benchmarks at the end of like how quickly that goes. Currently, we're still like in the early phase where things aren't so where things aren't like configured to the end. So we at the moment we're running in a way where blocks are just like generated constantly, and the highest throughput is around like 10 blocks a minute. So that doesn't really introduce that big of a delay for sending a packet. So the guest block. So we have this guest blockchain embedded in Solana, and the guest block is block generated by the smart contract, like the guest smart contract. I don't know, Robert, if that explains.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. Yeah, so for the Cosmos modules, it's just the light client for the guest blockchain. Like that's the only addition on the Cosmos side, right? So we already had all the machinery set up for having IBC connections with other chains. So it's just like a matter of adding the light client for the guest blockchain, and that's again because it's a proof of stake. It's relatively easy to like implement, and that's it. And then you plug it in and it just works. Okay, so yeah, sorry for like noticing the questions earlier, and yeah, I think that went with the questions. So where were we? So Yeah, and there were like some other like small optimizations with like IBCRS and like Tendermint like client, which we had to do to like keep the execution before compute budget. And again, this is not to like complain about IBC, but this is just to know that if somebody wants to extend IBC to other chains which maybe have different design goals than Cosmos, there still may be some like corner cases which will need addressing. But again, like we especially like from informal, we had a bunch of help with that. So it was just like some small challenges to overcome. It's also that Solana, again, like coming to the restrictions that or like the design goals of Solana. Like Solana's main point is speed. So it's very restrictive. Like a single transaction in Solana is a little bit over 1 kilobyte. And also you cannot verify more than 10 signatures in a single transactions. And it's even fewer signatures if the signed message is longer. And in Tendermint, the message is like 100 bytes. So this actually goes even further down, right? So the end result is that a single client update. So sending a new header from Tendermint to the light client running on Solana takes 30 Solana transactions, because we have to split the payload, so like the header, into multiple parts, and then we also have to split the signatures into groups and essentially like verify only a few signatures at a time and just like aggregate those results. So again, this is something that if somebody wants to like implement IBC on other chains, like those are the kind of things that they may run into. One thing that also could be changed in Tendermint actually to help is that like the verifier is stateless, and in Solana, I'm not gonna bore you with details, but like the way you verify signatures in Solana is quite convoluted, and you actually need state to to be able to verify a signature. So if like the verifier had state, like that would probably help. But again, like the problem here stems from Solana not having mutable statics. But again, we sort of worked around it. Yeah, so ZK is definitely something. So Robert on chat mentioned ZK. ZK is definitely something to look into. We went with the guest blockchain design, but for sure we did consider ZK for a moment, but when we started doing that, we decided that guest blockchain is like easier to implement, and back then maybe we didn't know all the sort of limitations and like all the problems that we will face. So it's interesting thing to wonder, like if knowing things I know now, like would I still decide on guest blockchain, or would I try to do ZK? That's an interesting question to ponder, and honestly I'm still not entirely sure, but for sure like ZK would also be one thing to look into if somebody has this kind of limitations they have to overcome. So yeah, so that's sort of like the technical description of how things work, and like as promised, like I will go through some of the benchmarks. Keep in mind that the bridge has been running for less than 2 months at this point, and also the measurements I'm showing were taken like a month ago. So we're constantly like improving things, especially like with cost. So hopefully like we'll try to improve things, but like as of now, like this is sort of the ballpark of how things work. So a client update. So again, this is sending Tendermint transaction, Tendermint block into Solana and verifying that. That costs like around, like around $1. And because of the, like I discussed, like because it's split into multiple Solana transactions, it can take up to like a minute in like sort of worst case to actually happen, like for the update to be executed. So again, like so this minute, like it's usually like shorter, but like it's after a minute, so that adds a minute into the delay of like receiving a packet. The receiving a transfer, so that's once you update the block, the Tendermint block, then the next call is receiving of the packet, like the IBC packet. That's that's more modest. That's around like 30 cents for as far as costs are concerned. This is also split into multiple transactions. It's usually like 4 or 5 transactions because of just like the size of the payload. But usually that we manage to like execute it in a single Solana transaction. So there's like no additional delay from that. And finally, like what I mentioned with the validators, that we want we want it to be as simple as possible to validate those blocks. The cost of submitting a single signature for a block is around 1 cent. It's like less than 1 cent. And back to what the other question on chat, the typical throughput is like around 3 blocks a minute. This is when you just like generate blocks with like no consideration for anything. But this is also something that we actually want to reduce number of blocks so that it reduces the total cost for a validator, because even though signing a single guest block is relatively cheap, if we generate a lot of them, then it gets a little bit expensive. Like it can get up to like $100 a day, and all of that has to come from the fees, from the bridging fees. At the moment, like that's not an issue, but we could optimize the costs even further potentially. Like that's something that's like the next thing we're looking into. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I had to present. And again, like if there are any final questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you, thanks a lot, Michael. Any questions for him? I have maybe a question regarding relaying. So you're using like Hermes or Hyperspace, or
so we're using Hyperspace.
okay. And did you have to make a lot of maybe customization on Hyperspace to
No, so we didn't need to do any customizations. It's just a matter of like adding the implementation for the for this guest blockchain, right? And part of it, like most of it, is pretty like straightforward. Like it just like any other proof of stake chain, you just like do the same thing. So you fetch those like finalized blocks and you fetch the generate proofs and relay that. The one sort of one thing that sort of makes it more difficult is that the way that the guest blockchain operates, you have this like pending rights to this provable storage, and the rights that were committed into provable storage, and this means that the commitment route is different, and there is some like complications in making sure that we're reading the code. We can't read the latest data from Solana. We have to make sure that we like read data from the correct Solana block to get like the correct proofs and so on. But it's nothing sort of very, very complex, nothing insurmountable to get. So we didn't need to like change hyperspace that much.
Okay, thank you. There is a question in the chat.
Is there a way Dev can ask because related questions? We have a forum, like we have the research composable finance forum. You have the link at the bottom. I think like that's one place where you can ask like that. That's like like an open forum, like anyone can post questions there and open discussions. So I guess that's one place. I'm not sure if there's any really better place. Like just go there. If I should, okay, I'll post maybe links to sorry, just so this is also the implementation of the guest blockchain. Like if you have any questions specific to that topic, then you can create an issue there, or like send me an email, and we'll figure it out.
Cool, thank you. And this emulated like client, so this is something that you could maybe try to use in other types of blockchains apart from Solana. Is a bit generalized, or
yes, yeah. So this is like very generalizable. It is there is like there are obviously like some specific, like especially with the storage, like other on other chains, you may want to like implement the storage maybe differently somehow. The storage we have is like optimized for Solana. It can be ported as is to other storage to other chains, but there may be some other way to implement this that are better fitted for other chains. But other than that, then yeah, like it is it can basically be used in any chain. Like if you look at the structure of the repository, we have the Solana directory, and this is just things related to Solana, like specific to Solana. But then like in the common directory, like the guest chain and all the other features are implemented in like completely chain agnostic way, right? So guest chain is the definition of the guest chain that is running on the host chain that so in our case Solana, and CF guest is the implementation of the light client that would be running on the counterparty chain.
Okay. And what's next for the Solana bridge? Do you have any plans to develop, I don't know, something else, improve, or?
So yeah, so right now we're working on optimizing it. So optimizing costs, optimizing delays, figuring out how to like run it cheaper and faster. I don't know if like faster is necessarily that's sustainable, because like I showed in the presentation, like there aren't that many points which add that much delay, but cost is definitely something we're looking into, and then it's possibly like implementing other, because so currently we only implement the ICS 20, so just the token transfers. So we're also potentially looking into implementing other ICS standards.
Web applications.
But that depends on sort of like business factors, right? And also like at this point, once the base IBC works, then all the other things are sort of trivial in a way.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we have 5 minutes. Still any more questions? If there are no more questions, then yeah, I would like to thank you again for the presentation. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot for joining today.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions before we leave, this is the moment. If not, then
Yeah.
we'll wrap up. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.